Were Arsenal bad or were Man City just phenomenal? And I'll say that the other way, just in case you're thinking I'm leaning towards that. Were Man City phenomenal or were Arsenal just terrible? Let me know, guys. I'm intrigued. Did a live stream. You can go watch that whole live stream if you want to. There will be highlights from said live stream as well. And I give my sort of half-time analysis of that in terms of a breakdown of what was going wrong at half-time. And generally, it stayed the same in the second half. But here I'm going to go a little bit more top line, I think, and talk about this, maybe the sort of narratives or the sort of the headlines, I think, in terms of this game. First of all, the levels between these two teams was pretty astounding. I got asked a fantastic question during the live stream. Were you expecting this kind of gap? I wasn't thinking about gaps, but what I was thinking going into this, and you can go and watch the preview of this game, was that I couldn't see how Man City didn't win this game. And I couldn't see how Kevin De Bruyne wouldn't be able to get into space and to hurt this team. And I couldn't see how Haaland wasn't going to hurt Arsenal and Holding and win that matchup. And I couldn't see how that midfield three of Odegaard, Partey and Xhaka were going to have the mobility to stop them defensively. And I couldn't see how Thomas Partey wasn't going to get overloaded. Because this Man City side, and I've said this a few times now, Pep Guardiola's understanding of a season and how to win a title, I think, is the most elite element of him today in 2023. He knows exactly how to do it. He knows when to take players out. He knows how to twist and evolve it. He knows how to get rid of players as well. And he knows how to catch fire between February and the end of the season. And we spoke about, people speak about, Sir Alex Ferguson and Man United and how they would always turn around the corner and off they go. And it's taken them a little bit longer, Man City, this year. But I think that main principle, it's that principle of control that Pep Guardiola loves, remains. He's about control. But a lot of those other principles in terms of wanting that width, we saw it in a different way. But I think he's hardened himself. Sounds naughty, doesn't it? That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is I think the Premier League has, as successful as he's been, it's opened his eyes to the physicality of football and how that is such a necessity in your team. And when we talk about the levels between these two, I think the biggest one for me is the physicality of Man City as opposed to Arsenal. Arsenal want control, and against most teams they are better than the opposition, so they can have control. But against a team that is physically far more impressive than them, and not just size actually, great energy as well in terms of getting around the pitch. Haaland works his nuts off in defensive transition time and again. Jack Grealish. I nearly just said Jack. Jack Grealish. His output and work rate, I do feel, has gone up a notch. There was a moment where he made a fantastic challenge on the way back. Again, often, you think about defending and it's, okay, they've gone past you now. Right, next person goes towards the ball. The best teams, they get themselves back on side and make those tackles. And if you think about Jack Grealish at one point, Bukayo Saka's making that run. He's one-on-one with Akanji. He cuts back on his left foot, and we know he's lethal with that left foot. Jack Grealish is there. Bernardo Silva has 4 lungs. I'm sure of it. Certain of it. And even KDB, I thought, was working really, really hard in this one. But the physicality of this team, you then look at Arsenal, and I don't see it. I don't really see it. I thought Gabriel Martinelli was completely excluded from the game due to the press of Man City to a point. So if that's going to occur, then you, as an Arsenal side, you've got to be so good on the ball. And it wasn't there. It wasn't there. And it wasn't there in particular in that midfield. I thought Granit Xhaka was, a little bit petulant. He was trying to get them sent off by that point because I think they realised they weren't good enough. Odegaard was very quiet in the game, didn't demand the game. I think he's one player who sort of floats through games a lot of the time in a good way. But in these last couple of weeks, I think what's been thrown at him, especially as a captain of the team, is that he should be going and getting the ball. Now, football's so functional now that sometimes that doesn't really work. And I think Zinchenko looked to try and do that as well. But again, the press of Man City was so strong. The energy of that team, it felt like men versus boys. And I think at the end of this season, what Arteta will do is he will look at their results against the bulk of the sides and go, yeah, we're just too good against the bulk of those teams. And the play that we play, the way that we play, that fluency of passing, that's enough to get by. But in these games, when you need another route, set pieces, a ball in behind, that didn't seem to be on. And that could be a tactical element I think that they could probably work on. But again, having answers. And this Man City side have so many answers. So much so that they bring in someone like Kyle Walker, who's probably one of the greatest Premier League right-backs of all time, who's not played for the last 6-7 weeks. And it did feel like a bit of a sort of cheeky ploy. But sadly, another question I was asked was, have Arsenal bottled the title? We came to the decision that the average points for a Premier League title is 87 points. If Arsenal get themselves past 87 points, then that's not really considered bottling. What probably it mixes this up a little bit is that the season might be done by that point. So the last couple of games, you might get those added points. But if they get to 87 points, I think, especially this team from where they were last season, you've got to be fair and go, that's a wonderful season. But when you look at those starting lineups, there's a difference. There is a real difference between them and the quality that they have. And you were hoping, weren't you, with Arsenal? Arsenal fans, you'll probably be honest and go, you know, two of these players are players that this team doesn't want anymore. I think actually we were all probably being a bit too hopeful to try and have that title race that we wanted, right? And it's obviously not come to be. And that's just because this team is so good. You can rely on every single one of these players to affect the game. I'll talk about this width in the highlights package, so make sure you go check that out. But Bernardo Silva, outrageous work rate. Grealish has taken it up a notch and is so effective now. Akanji can play absolutely everywhere. Kyle Walker completely shut up Martinelli. Barely touched the ball. When he did get the ball, he wasn't brave enough to take him on because he knew he couldn't get past him. John Stones, best defender in the world right now? Has to be, doesn't he? Who's above him? Rodri. You could say the same in terms of DMs. He's certainly right up there. You know, alongside Casemiro for me, of course. Gundogan. So underrated, this guy. So underrated in terms of the pockets of space that he... Look at his heat map here. He goes all over the pitch. And he played as a bit of a deep-lying playmaker for a lot of the game. So intelligent. It's outrageous. So ingrained in that team. And so you've got superpowers everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Physicality, brains, Energizer Bunny, vision, and then Haaland. We have to finish on Haaland, this guy. I think Haaland, you know, we've been talking about, are they actually better without him? His hold-up play was fantastic in this game. Absolutely fantastic in terms of, you know, creating that first goal. I think there was a problem in terms of the press. But Haaland and KDB ran this game, and Haaland bullied all of them. You know, Rob Holding will get a lot of, you know, probably memes, critique, whatever. But he scored a goal, firstly. Secondly, I thought Gabriel had a tough night as well, but just didn't have to man-mark him as much. And who can cope with Erling Haaland when he's in that kind of mood? It's the aggression, the size, the pace, the touch is much better than we give him credit for. Maybe it wasn't in the same tight spaces. But again, that's a new thing that Man City have that I don't think Arsenal totally have. Is that out and out, if you want to make this a physical battle, we'll beat you that way as well. And I think that's what we saw today. Not men against boys, but just levels. Real levels. And Arteta, I think, has to go out and think, okay, is pretty quick in how we play. Is that enough? Not sure it is. Let's remember this is a 28-year-old side against a 25-year-old side in terms of average of the starting 11. But I keep coming back to that physicality. I think that's a huge part of it. And I think it was a huge part in why Arsenal couldn't really get near them. Man City knew that they would probably get a goal with the quality that they've got. I think Ramsdale, although he has a really good game, makes a lot of saves, keeps the minute, will be disappointed with that first goal from De Bruyne. And game state matters. They were poor from the start, though, Arsenal. They really were. They didn't affect the game positively at any point, really, in that first half, if we're honest. Man City were on it. And it was real business-like stuff from Man City. They are the best team in the world. They are. Simple as that. You can go into the minutiae of it, and we will, and you'll see my reaction to the goals as well in that highlights video that will be out tomorrow. But I think we sort of, in terms of people who want that romance of it going to the final game and maybe the underdog surprising us all, nah. I think that's dead now. And I would be shocked. And that's why I was saying, look, Arsenal, get a draw. Happy days, get out of there. And maybe they'll play their next game, and this game is so difficult, they'll play the next game and go, wow, this is miles easier, and they'll win that game. And then maybe they'll win all the games left. I can't see that happening. And I think it's over. I think the title race is dead, to be honest. And it's been, yeah, they've just been crucified by this Man City side, who are absolutely outrageous. And the treble is so on. So on. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you've got thoughts on this, let me know in the comments down below. And if you are new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button? Great video on Trent coming out tomorrow. And so much more. So stick around. And I'll see you soon.